Hello and good evening, all you wonderful people. Now, if the UK government thought they could silence Britain's farmers, then they've just received a massive shock. Hundreds of tractors descended on Dover today to show their displeasure at the way this heavy-handed government is treating them. And as far as I can tell, it hasn't stopped yet. Has the government bitten off more than they can chew? And if Starmer the farmer harmer and Rachel the non-economist Reeves get their way and do shut down UK agriculture, then who knows what they'll be swatting at next? And the Environment Secretary Steve Reed says the government's inheritance tax changes will benefit farming and food production. He actually said, if we can stop this upward pressure on land price inflation that stops farmers buying land and reduce the incentive for wealthy individuals from non-farming backgrounds to buy land to avoid their own tax liabilities, then that's got to be good for farming and for food production. My answer is, though, cut out the wealthy tax dodgers and keep your mitts off the farmers. In fact, what you should be doing is making it extremely expensive to flog off farming land for anything than agriculture. And get this, Jeremy Moody, the Secretary of the Central Association of Agricultural Valuers, said that 2,500 farmers per year will be forced to pay this new tax. And that's 5 times more than the Treasury's prediction of 500. And puts a hole well below the waterline of the projections of the BBC Verify. Boo hiss. Looks like the government is doubling down on their intentions to destroy the way of life of UK farmers. This Labour government is more interested in corporate farming, wind and solar farms and building estates for newcomers. And before I bring Richard in, I'll just say that we need to look after our farmers or we'll find ourselves starving in years to come. We can't eat solar panels and we can't eat wind turbines. What do you think, Richard?
Hi, Jeff. Yes, sorry, that was a really good point you made there about potentially banning the selling of agricultural land for anything other than agriculture. Yeah, that's something we need to be thinking about as a nation, because this land is invaluable. It is our food source. It is, we don't live without it. We don't, without that sustenance, we're not here. We're going to be importing so much food in. I mean, oh my goodness, we'd end up like one of these, oh good grief, what was the island that imported 90% of its food? It's gone. Anyway, back to point. Sorry for that little bit of a detour there. The farmers are not going to sit back and let the state take their intergenerational wealth away from them. The profit margins of farmers are very low and the work is backbreaking. So the deal is farmers provide cheap food and live a hard lifestyle, working all the hours in all weathers, and all in exchange for them not getting clobbered with inheritance tax. I think that's a fair deal. I think most people would say that's a fair deal. They don't have the best of lives. It's hard work. I know. I've lived in farming communities. I've grown up in farming communities. Yes, farmhouses, oh, they're very lovely and pretty. And the views they have, all very nice. But if you're up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and then going to bed about 8 or 9 o'clock at night, it's not fun, and especially when the weather's turning like it is now. So, yeah, I mean, if you remove the farmers' incentive to work, you remove their desire to effectively to provide cheap food for us. And yes, food is cheap compared to what our forefathers used to pay for it. We throw away enough food to feed smaller countries. Here we do. Well, that's throughout the West, that is. So you're forgetting, Keir Starmer, that most of the population of this country is descended from farmers Go back to before the Industrial Revolution, and we were all farmers. And that memory is subconsciously still fixed within the people. We can see there's a lot of sympathy for the farmers in this country. But back to point, this slow drive through Dover is a warning shot to Keir Starmer before the real, unmovable, static blockades begin. The message from the farmers is simple. We can and we will bring down Britain. We will bring it to a grinding halt if you don't back down with this inheritance tax law. So don't test the patience of farmers. This is not student union politics here now, Keir. Playing with fire again is what Mr. Starmer seems to be. Well, playing with fire is what Starmer's good at, and he's doing it again. Is there any section of society that Keir Starmer has not made an enemy? Is there? Oh yeah, there's one section of society, of course. We're not enemies of Keir Starmer, but enough of them for today. Jeff.
Well, the unions, they love him because he's going to keep handing out pay rises to them. And that's got to be paid for by selling off farmland. That's what it seems to me to be the case. As Angry Overis says, this is to give them the excuse to introduce lab-grown meat and bugs. Yeah, they'll go for that one, and then they'll wonder why, people are getting sick and ill because they're not eating good beef and good lamb and all the rest of it. So, and that'll all have to be cured by someone. Yes.
Oh, iDotfler, thank you for your super chat. 3D printed food and eat the bugs. Exactly what we're saying. Yeah. That's where it's going. I mean, if you think about it, Jeff, what was the percentage of farmland in Ukraine that's been bought up by American companies? Is it 30%?
I can't remember. It was some high percentage. Yeah, by some company called BlackRock, wasn't it, or something? I can't remember now.
Involved. I'm not entirely sure. I believe Monsanto. It might be via Monsanto.
And Monsanto, yes.
Well, I believe that BlackRock are one of the biggest shareholders in Monsanto. I might be wrong there. But yes, we can see the direction of travel. Oh, but of course, as I mentioned in the video earlier, yes, Starmer is cozying up to BlackRock and these companies that would let us eat the shells of dung beetles for our breakfast. Yes.
Yes, and Darren Livesey says, the fields near me in Cambridge are now full of solar panels and all have to be replaced after 25 years. I can't have an 8-foot high shed in my garden. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? You want a shed in your garden to store your tools in, no chance, mate. But you want to build a huge, great windmill or a load of reflective solar panels and fill your boots. Yeah.
Yeah, same with Brecon Beacons where I live. It's horrific. Yeah. You can't put a wrong window in there. Yet, we can solar panel it. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, Starmer doesn't care about you guys. Cut off groceries to his house. Well, actually, the best thing to do would be cut off all food to Westminster restaurants, of which there are many. And just tell them, well, if you've got no farmers, you've got no food. But, of course, we couldn't possibly do that, could we? Yeah. Yes,
I mean, food suppliers should get involved in this because it's in their best interest that this thing is ended as soon as possible. So if you are a catering company and you have a contract with Westminster, you know what to do. I'm not citing anything. I'm just saying, that to Jeff. Yeah.
Andy Cowley says, we import too much food. We need more homegrown food. Our self-sufficiency rate, according to the official figures, is something like 60 to 62%, which means that the rest, 40-odd%, we import. Before the Second World War, it was actually about 30% self-sufficiency. We imported most of our food, and it was only the war that got us into a situation where we became almost fully self-sufficient in basic food. We mustn't lose sight of that. And with modern production techniques, not using net zero techniques, by the way, but modern farming techniques, we should be able to food much more self-sufficient in food to keep us fed. And that's something we should do because you can never rely. If there's an outsider somewhere who thinks, I can make a few extra billion just by soaking those stupid Brits because they won't grow their own food, then they're going to do it. Yeah.
But here's a question for you, Jeff. I mean, say we import a lot of our food. I mean, how much of our food that we import is actually a necessity? That's the other side of it. Are you talking about being 60%, is it self-sufficient at the moment for
Yeah.
basic staples, or is this for all luxury items as well? Not forgetting, when I say luxury, I'm talking about your avocados, your
Yeah.
outer Mongolian dewberries type
Yeah,
thing.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
When the Brexit debate started and people started talking about all our imports, I looked at, for example, the imports and exports of lamb in this country, and it was about equal, toing and froing.
Yeah.
We were sending as much lamb abroad as we were getting back, and I thought, what on earth's going on here? And what it came down to is the cuts of meat. In this country, we like certain cuts of meat. In other countries, they prefer other things, other parts of the carcass and all the rest of it. So in the end, we just kept the bits we wanted and sold the bits we didn't want, and they did exactly the same back in our direction. Now, there is an argument here for being a bit more creative in our cooking to use the whole thing instead of just
Oh, yes.
half of it. And
Yes. I mean,
that
yeah.
really was an eye-opener for me when I looked at that.
Well, I used to love a neck of lamb. That was a lovely cut. That was. I used to think it was really
Yeah, but
good meat. But there
do
you
you
go.
ever see that in the shops these days?
Occasionally in the butchers near me, yes. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It's encouraged. I think, in the Brecon Beacons, we've got a little more taste,
Yeah, you've got some neck, haven't you?
Ah. Please put in the comment section how dreadful you thought that joke was. Hey, Lee Ryder, thank you for your super chat, by the way. Thank you for that. That's brilliant.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find it. Oh, here we go. Yeah, Lee Ryder. Thanks very much indeed, Lee. Yeah. Yeah, farmers do not give in. Fight the good fight. Yeah.
Absolutely. We're behind you.
Yeah, well, I think most of the country is. They understand that if you just if we don't do this, we will end up eating bugs. We will, because that will be the only way out. And that's what they want to lead us down. They want to lead us down that into chemically derived meats. That's where they're taking us. And we've got to we cannot stand for it.
No.
It's not healthy as far as I'm concerned. It's awful stuff.
Yeah, a good comment here, actually, from V. Jeff, do you think this madness will end? Every day this government is causing so much misery. WEF puppets in power. You're absolutely right. So this is for you, Jeff, but I have to say, this government is causing so much misery. Have you ever known a time when people were so just depressed and anxious about society? Does anybody have any confidence in this government? I don't know anybody. Actually, I did meet somebody the other day, a friend of mine, and I was shocked. Yeah. Jeff, over to you, mate.
Yes. This is a thing that I think will be disappearing. It's comment from Thorpe Sewing Lessons. Yes, also grow our own food in the garden and greenhouse. Yes, people should, if they have a garden, why not? A few carrots and potatoes and all the rest of it. But I think that growing your own food will become a crime because it will be deemed as unhealthy.
Yeah.
We don't know where it came from. We don't know, you know what I mean? It'll be chemical foods that are made out of gunk in a factory with a special recipe, which you'll never know what the recipe is, by the way. It's like Coca-Cola. They won't tell you what's in it. They'll just tell you how wonderful it is.
This is heading straight to Soylent Greenland, isn't it?
Yeah. And what they'll do is they'll say, well, you can't eat the stuff you grow in the garden because it's all nasty and horrible and it's got worms in it. And they'll try everything they can to put you off of it and go for their pre-bubble wrapped garbage. Yeah.
I got to say, I would eat bugs before I'd eat fake meat again. I would eat bugs. Yeah. That fake meat is nasty stuff.
Now, this is a good comment from Critical Thinking. Try it. According to the European Commission, Ukraine accounts for 10% of the world wheat market, 15% of the corn market, and 13% of the barley market, with more than 50% of world trade. Yes. Why do you think everybody's trying to get their greedy little hands on it? Actually, Ukraine has something like 5% or 1/20th of the world's resources available to it. Just think on that for a moment. That's 1/20th of all the countries in the world. So why do we think there are so many people trying to get their hands on it? I wonder. Yeah. And it's not just wheat and barley and all the rest of it. Because believe it or not, in the UK, we are self-sufficient in wheat. We can make our own bread. The only reason we import wheat is for those specialist breads, the ones you have to go down to the specialist baker to get, and that's the only reason we import wheat and stuff like that. But Ukraine is the bread basket of the world, and it's one of the things that can be used to starve people into submission is by controlling that wheat supply. So yes, and it also holds loads and loads and loads of resources such as rare earth metals. Yeah. Yes. I wonder what MPs taste like. Come on, Darren. Yeah.
Sorry, something just popped up here. Mr. Lee hit it. Oh, yeah. Zulu was a Welsh victory. Great fighters. Sorry, I had to totally. Yes, absolutely. And Zulu in the Brecon Cathedral, you can see the flags from Rorke's Drift. They're actually up there. From the battle in one part of the cathedral. There's a little chapel to the side of it. There you go. Sorry.
Yeah, that's. I've said this before. I don't know whether I've said this on video, but did you know that would be the most impossible these days? The impossible film to remake, Zulu. Can you imagine how the casting would go of the two captains? One would have to be something. One would have to be something else.
We get it. Well, I mean, I told you before, Jeff. I want to do a remake of Gandhi, and I want it to be about Gandhi's struggle against, oppression and the racism which he encountered, and I'd like Gandhi to be played by Lawrence Fox. Yes, I can see that happening. So, oh, by the way, Englishman. Sorry, I haven't got my 2 seconds. I've got to read this out. Englishman in Ulster. Okay, thank you for your super chat there. It says, please have a pint on me, fellas. We will win in the end. Yes, we bloody well will. We will win in the end.
Yes, we will.
And Christmas time, Jeff, we're putting that, because we're having a drink at Christmas time in Bath, probably.
Oh, yeah, so be in Bath at some stage or other, just to, because that's where we first actually started this enterprise all those years ago, in a bar in Bath. Yeah.
The Star Inn in Bath, yeah. Okay, so, I mean...
sorry, I'm not sure what Muttley means here, but he just says the word cowpats, so I'm not quite sure what... Is this nourishment we're talking about here?
But going back to Rorke's Drift here, there is an analogy here, I suppose, with the farmers and this blockade. You see, what they're doing is now the farmers... slight analogy. A parallel. What they're doing is they're firing a warning shot right now at Starmer, saying, look, we can do this drive-through, the slow-through thing, but we can actually block all the ports in this country, all of them. In fact, it's not... What did I read the other day? They could block some of the most major roads running through Britain with quite easily, with very little trouble. And that's not... it would require not just tractors, but using everything from their Land Rovers to their quads to whatever. They could block the roads, they could.
Yeah.
They could bring the country to a standstill. I don't think Starmer understands what he's messing with. These people, you're taking away their very incentive to work. A lot of these people, they grew up on these farms. I know we talk about inheritance and we think, oh, how lucky they are having that farm passed down. And do you know what? Of course, there's going to be benefits to it. But they don't just wake up in the morning and just go and sit on their laptop and just have a little type away and send it something off to the office. They're not working from home. Oh, no. They're out wandering those fields, doing X, Y, and Z, trying to keep that land productive for food. It's not an easy life, and that needs to be remembered.
No, it's not at all. And as I've said before, it's a contract between the farmer, the government, and the people, that they keep the land, they produce cheap food by working back-breaking hours, and then we allow them to keep the land, and we benefit. They benefit from doing what they love doing, but having a stable existence, and the government gets food security. I mean, what's not to like here? What's not to like?
Yes.
It is a contract, and if they break that contract, like, I don't know whether people realise, but most farmers are actually working either below or at the minimum wage themselves. And these are the big, these are farmers who own the land. Now, if this all gets sold off, every single farm worker will be on at least the minimum wage, and they will only work those few hours a day that they're allowed to work. How many more people will we need on the land? How many more people under a 4-day week under Labour will we need on the land just to do all this?
Yeah, but I mean, Jeff, don't you understand? They've imported lots of people who've just come into this country who are more than willing to work, aren't
yes,
they?
of course. Yes.
Oh, they can't wait. They're rushing to the farmland. They're saying, please, have you got a job for me? Farmers are inundated with CVs of people coming across the channel, aren't they?
Yeah, well, I do know that there is one group of people out there, and this will come as a shock to some people. There are van lifers. Heard of those? They're people who have sort of walked away from life or been forced to walk away from life. They get a van and they go around a bit. Now, these people are looking at maybe providing the workers that go around, the seasonal type workers, to provide workers for these farmers, instead of having to, import people to do it. And there is a big untapped supply there.
I agree.
And
I think it's a great
It's not
idea.
my idea.
No.
We're not. It's not my idea. It came out of one of the WhatsApp groups I'm in, and that they've been looking at this and wondering whether they could actually do that. And I'm thinking, well, if the van lifers, these people are happy to do that, well, and they put the hours in, get the money, then what's wrong with that?
I love it. I personally would. I do have a connection with the land. And I do enjoy physical hard work. It's a strange thing, I know, but I do. And I think it's a wonderful thing to live in a van. I mean, you could go from farm to farm, as long as they've got an electrical hookup and somewhere for your waste. Way to go! What a life! What's wrong with such a life?
Yeah, I mean, I sort of
life
agree.
is changing in the 21st century. Idotfler, thank you for your super chat again.
That's excellent. Thank you.
We win even if it looks like we are not winning. Absolutely.
We'll get there.
We do. And we will. We will win. We're just going to keep turning up to places like this on this channel and many other channels. Maya 2C, Paul Thorpe, Richard Inman and his Counter Media channel.
Yeah.
There are many others. Paz, is it Paz 42? I forget his name. Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
I spoke to him the other day to message him. Yes, there we go. But we come together as communities right across these on the new media, we call it. So yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Well, this one's a bit of a don't pick any mushrooms. I personally would shy away from eating any mushrooms I picked, because I haven't got a clue which are edible and which aren't. Could look perfectly all right, but some people they do find magic ones actually.
Well, I have experience of mushroom picking.
Have you?
Yes. Well, I grew up as a musician in the South Wales valleys outside of Merthyr Tydfil. And of course, we loved edible mushrooms. And there was a field, and we used to eat edible mushrooms from that field. And very strange experiences used to happen, indeed. But they were ordinary edible mushrooms, though, of course. Yes.
Yes. Oh, dear. On a 4-day week, shift hours. Oh, I've missed it. I nearly got there. Trouble is, some of these comments are moving. I've got the comments in slow motion, by the way, and they still seem to be going, very fast. Oh, thank you very much, Stefan. Hello from Texas. Yes, one from America. It's really nice to see that. Thank you very much. Yeah. Yeah, 1.5 million houses a year to build. Yeah. The state does want the land. See, the trouble is that they've run out of all that wonderful floodlands, haven't they? Which they keep building on. So they've got to find something that's, and instead of irrigating things properly, they follow the same old EU directives that tell them not to irrigate and everything will be all right and make it natural. And all they've done is turn the housing estates into marshlands. And now they want more land. And that's how they get. This is part of the plan, is to buy that up for the big house builders. But there you go.
Oh, well, let the big house builders have them, and let them halfway through building on them get flooded out. I've had enough of it. I mean, I have to say, what would it take to solve Britain's housing problem? I mean, it would take something, I suppose, like mass deportations, but that's wrong, of course, isn't it? We couldn't have that, because we've got a cohesive society where everyone lives together harmoniously, fully integrated, with no competing ideologies whatsoever. We're all one lovely Britain, aren't we?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Yes.
Well, Tracy says, I go foraging. Now, it'd be interesting. I suppose you can still go foraging on a seasonal basis. And I mean, you can get blackberries and those sorts of things. Yeah.
A friend of mine does foraging courses, and she's written a few books on it. And I've actually got one for my young son. He's a little bit too young to read it. We'll be going through it soon together. But yes, it's quite remarkable that. And I believe they even started a foraging restaurant where every meal that was prepared was from food that was foraged from within something like 7 or 8 miles of the restaurant. Very interesting stuff, foraging. We are so off topic, by the way, Jeff.
Yes, I know we are. Where are we meant to be? We're meant to be in Dover talking about...
That's right, Dover.
Yeah, well, we're talking about agriculture and things like that, and so that's okay. But people, feeding ourselves is far more complicated than, I keep saying it, but I'm absolutely convinced that Labour politicians think that there's a factory, an automatic food factory under Tesco and under Morrison's and all the rest of it, that sort of pumps food up into the aisles in little plastic packets. It's sort of a wonderful unicorn thing, and I don't think they have any idea of what the farmers go through in order to get that stuff fresh and good to eat food onto our shelves so that we can go and buy it. Ready to go.
I would love to see Keir Starmer milk a cow.
Oh dear! Now there's a picture I can't get out of my head now.
I would pay money for that as well, but no, for a cow. Yes, yes. I would love to see Keir Starmer milking a cow.
Right. Yeah. Thanks very much for that.
Well, no, we've seen him with boxing gloves. Let's see how macho he really is.
Oh well, that it was like watching a powder puff, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Doof, doof.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Now this one, Michael John Dennis is talking about this 4-day week thing. Shift hours will massively increase. I mean, that's what they're looking at. They're saying instead of working an 8-hour day, you work a 12.5-hour day, 4 days a week. Now, the trouble is that I'm wondering, I've seen people after a 6-hour day looking extremely tired and lethargic. If you keep someone going for 12.5 hours, I'm not sure how, number one, how effective they'll be, but more importantly, how safe they'll be. So if you imagine you're a taxi driver, train driver, is that the sort of thing you want them to be doing? I don't know. Not for me. Anyway. Yeah, and there's another one from Ian Gillon. Please don't forget about the folk that service the farmers. Yeah, there's a load of people out there who supply the farmers with all their kit. And if the farmers go out of business or sell up and all the rest of it, and we don't farm anymore, a lot of these people will be out of a job as well. And I don't know where, we'll be. I don't know whether it's not just meats that they can make in a factory. They can now make chemical milk. And this is one of the big pushes, is to get us off of dairy and meat so that they can feed us this gunk, this Frankenstein garbage.
I mean, I've been having...
what's in it.
I've tried all these fake milks, and funny enough, believe it or not, word salad. Almond milk is quite an old thing. I believe it was around in the medieval era. So yeah, that's something which I wasn't aware of until recently. There we go. But I've tried these milks. They're dreadful. They're absolutely dreadful. They're absolutely vile. I think that I did try quite recently raw milk. Oh my goodness, what a wonderful thing that is. Bring it back. Everyone should be having raw milk. It's a wonderful thing. I highly recommend you try it. Find out if it's right for you, of course, first.
Yeah.
So iDopfler, you legend, you. Right. What we have here is another super chat. Thank you very much. And says, what you're describing is commonly known as vertical hydroponic farming or vertical hydroponic gardening.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know what any of those things are, but they sound fantastic.
Yeah. They sound so fantastic that I'll just leave it there and I won't go and look them up. No, I might well do that. Yeah.
I'm not going to look that up. Jeff, you can do that.
Yeah. This from V. Love the farm shop. He would probably try to milk the bull. Now that could be interesting, couldn't it?
Yeah. Well, I have heard. No, that's another story. Okay. Anyway.
Yes.
Here we go.
John Thomas, can I get a shout out, Jeff? Right, there you go.
Okay, so Tech Junkie 60 something, and it's just dropped off my page. Why is that gone off my page? You still there?
Yeah.
Oh dear, I had a great one. Yes, he said, I get raw milk delivered. Lovely creamy milk for a cuppa. It absolutely is. It's stunning stuff. Stunning stuff. Okay, so just a quick one then, quickly for the comment section. How many of you lot support the farmers? Yeses or nos? Wait a little while that filters through.
Well, that rolls through.
So yeah, because there's a bit of a delay, you see.
Fairly simple thing.
Yeah.
UK farms would do well to look at Australia for efficiencies. Yeah, the efficiencies there are efficiencies of sheer size, and same. It's just a large lump of land. So I'm not sure if I mean, I may be wrong, but probably am actually, because I know nothing about agriculture at all. Yeah. So I don't know. But I think it's more to do with the sheer size. It's like America, where they've just, they got huge ranches and all the rest of it out there. We can't, but we just have a different way of doing it here.
Yeah, we just got an avalanche of yeses towards the farmers. The love is pouring in for the farmers.
Is it? Oh, fantastic. Excellent.
You lovely people, you.
Yeah, because you agree with us, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes, here we go. Yes. Oh, I can see it all. Yeah.
This is wonderful. So if you are a farmer and watching, I hope you're reading the super chats here. The super chat, the live chat here and the super chats. But I hope you're reading this just to see how much love there is out for you and the support that there is out there for you. One of the things you'll notice, which I've noticed before, is when you're amongst farmers, they're a different breed, very much a different breed. I noticed that when you were in London, at the Farmers Rally in London, Jeff, very different kind of people. This is not a negative thing.
No.
You've got people who live a very hard lifestyle. There's no messing around. This is serious. Quite serious.
Because these people, they decide on a daily basis which one of the animals are off to slaughter and all the rest of it to provide us with plastic covered meat, which most people wouldn't realize where it came from, and
they have to. So they have to. They're there at the birth of each animal.
Yeah,
can you imagine that?
Yeah,
they're not just. They're like midwives as well as being. Tending the farmland.
Yeah, but
remember that. Keir Starmer, if you do happen to if this ever was to come your way, understand that these people do things that most of us can't even imagine. It's one thing for a human to help another human out, to help another animal, incredibly vulnerable. This is your livelihood as well. The pressure on them. And then you just, it only affects so-and-so amount of farmers. No, it affects the whole industry. That's not quite true there. Mr. Starmer, this inheritance tax raid.
Yeah, but you got to remember
It's a
that the
knock-on
farmers
effect.
are hard-nosed businessmen as well, so they have to look after those animals. They really do,
Mm.
because each of those animals has got a bottom line figure on it. So that's part of it as well. They may know its name, they may have an affection for it, but it is still a hard-nosed business, whatever you look at it. Citizen
And
Jones
why
says
not?
farmers should bypass the supermarkets. Yeah, I think that they could probably just sell their own produce in in a little type setup where it's a basic shop, lots and lots of rows, and they can put their own wares on it at their own prices
Yeah,
and
it's
cut
for
out
the butchers.
yeah. But
That's
the
what we
only
need to deal
problem
with.
there is that the supermarkets would then go abroad and import loads and loads and loads of stuff and undercut them. And that's
I,
where,
I
with
think, to be honest, with you, then they should blockade the ports again to stop
yeah,
that from
yeah, and
happening.
that's what I'm talking about. This is the sort of thing because the supermarkets have got to survive, and that's what they'll do. That's what they'll do. They'll buy the stuff from anywhere. How do you think horse meat got over here? Do you remember
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Who let that in? How many supermarkets markets were selling that stuff without checking it properly?
Jeff, it's like have you ever tried frogs' legs?
Yes,
I love them. I thought they were fantastic.
they
Sorry.
taste like
Yeah.
chicken to me.
Yeah, well, very much so. And snails, do you try snails?
Yes,
Yeah, beautiful. Garlic butter on both
escargot.
of them.
Oh yes,
Sorry,
my
slight detour there, but they are nice.
yeah.
Well, Jeffrey,
Yes, well, yes. It's been really nice to talk to everybody, and thank you very much for your comments and your support for the farmers, which is the more important issue as far as I'm concerned,
yes.
because we do need our food. It's something that we all forget about. Oh, just go down the shop and get a loaf of bread, pint of milk, and make sure we got some coffee. But it has to come from somewhere, and our meat, especially, and our eggs, and the flour, and all the rest of it has to come from somewhere.
The first thing we can do, I think, is quite interesting. Sorry, that Nick Tanconi's mentioned this about stop putting money in the pockets of the enemy. Okay, with
Yeah,
by your Uber Eats and all this, getting these different things delivered, takeaways. The best way to start this revolution in this land is to support the farmers, support your butchers, your bakers, and your candlestick makers, all local. If you can, I
yeah,
know it's not as cheap in some respects, but if enough people shop there, maybe it would get cheaper. Maybe there would be, granted, a butcher would lower their profit margin, but the excess of produce flowing through, there might be a deal to be done there with the public. I mean, I know if I buy bulk from my butchers, I get a massive discount. It can be done.
yeah,
So what if you were to get your community together and buy bulk from your butchers? And again, a good relationship between the farmer and the butchers means that there's a steady flow, and they're bypassing
yeah,
these supermarkets altogether. So I think that's very important. Keep your money within your community, and
yeah,
but if you live in an inner city, then specify which butcher you go to. If you see my drift
yeah,
here,
yeah,
which butchers do you go to? Which bakers do you go to? Be very thoughtful of how you are approaching this, and this will also very much impact the well-being of our farmers. But the main thing that needs to happen is that Keir Starmer right now needs to back down, and we need to support our farmers. It could get a little bit ugly, to be honest with you, because when they start blockading the ports and if they stop food production, things are going to start getting expensive, and
yeah,
people are going to suffer. And it's already bad now, but it's very difficult to say I support something where somebody's could eventually bloody starve to death. But
well, that's the issue, though, isn't it? But the Labour Party and their cronies are very happy for people to not be able to get to work when they go on strike on the trains and the buses and all the rest of it. They don't
yes,
give a fig, then, do they? So
no,
let's treat it like it is.
yeah,
Anyway, I think we've said enough. So it's been really great to interact with you all,
it has. It's been
and
lovely, everybody. Thank you.
we'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully, there'll be something for us to tell you by then, and
Yeah,
great to chat to you then. So,
and please, everyone, don't
uh,
forget, you got to do it, Jeff. Come on. press the like button, press the like button on the video, and please, I should have said at the start, and please subscribe. Most people who watch YouTube videos are not subscribed to channels they watch, even though they might be their favorite channels. Subscribe, select the all button when on with the little bell thing is, and just do that, and it makes our lives a lot easier. But yeah, anyway, Jeff.
Yes.
Thank
you very much for watching, and it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him. Goodbye.